start with the fact that we are shown some kind of weirdo in an armchair who plays a game and he likes to humiliate everyone there harshly. But in fact, this is Tick Alkin, who doesn't really leave the house, and then he wakes up in another world surrounded by beauties, after which for some reason they are on top. He is already dressed and looks at them better. And he approves that he was transferred to another world, only a problem, but he was a chitin all his life, and did not speak to anyone at all. He can't even open his mouth, but in games he talked to people, so he confidently told them, great yacht, but also ordered them to make peace, because the borscht quarreled over the fact that the familiar douche turned out to be strange. And then they almost shook hands and the collar caught on them, and all because they called him by the force of submission, and he had a ring that reflects all the rear, but they themselves obeyed him. The man explained to the girls that his collar could not be removed by them just because of this ring. But he went with them to the city and began to observe a tough plot. Jun quit and they were lucky on that. To begin with, they need to spend the night. They go into the local living room. The girls began to quarrel again and they were almost killed by the local manager. They had enough money for one room, and then some important bump came to them. I found out that they have such a problem. While they were eating and showing a fierce plot, he explained to her that he could not help her, and the servant of your bumps began to thump you, but that he said that he would kill him if he did not shut up, saying 5 words. He almost died and exhausted him to talk. In general, the bump realized that she needed to somehow solve it and left, but our still experienced gamer, he understands that such a girl will not just come in and decided to start torturing her to find out who she is. For she just didn't say that, but all this must be done within the framework of the law, otherwise they will put her in jail. Since she is a cat girl, he decided to stroke her behind the ears. By the way, the versions where everything will be visible will end up more on this at the end of the video. In general, the girl was glad that the show was so interesting and it didn't matter that she was like that she told him that in her soul there was some kind of super strong demon, Apollo of the game in which she played. He's the strongest boss, but he said okay. Somehow wake him up, and she burst into tears. After long conversations, the person decided to sit outside, get some fresh air. But, obviously, he did not die. He wanted to fuck her with a slug to test his strength, and almost half of the city was demolished. And in the morning he woke up surrounded by beautiful ladies, and involuntarily his hands squeezed soft buns. He could not let them go. But when they woke up home, she said that this could only be done when he recognized her as the mistress, and too was embarrassed, and he told her that in buns, although soft, but delicious. The fact that he grabbed Bream is the next problem. Grandmothers need memory somehow, so they went to the guild. As always, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, click like and bell, and watch the video to the end. Of the views will be important info brothers moments in the videos that I can't show, how I fixed it. So the locals don't understand the text, so the elf signed for him. They went to check their elf strength in the mirror, turned out to be 30 levels. Then our man went, even his hand to the mirror began to occur some kind of horror, to which the head of the guild came, realized that he was stronger than all of them put together. Why does he need a guild if he does not obey it? And he just says grandmothers, everything will be fine. So they decided and went on one super difficult task to kill some kind of snake, rummage through the forest, Delphic, the feeling of some units in front, the peasant drowned and found a bunch of elves, and it turns out that she is some kind of local queen of elves and they think that our GG is holding them hostage. They began to shoot arrows at him. Yes, they hit him with a hard arrow. And he still doesn't care, but in order to scare them, he clearly drowned, froze the floor of the forest overnight and crap, and she told them that she was with this jock of her own free will. Well, as it should, in the best traditions of anime, the girl was talking to RG about something and accidentally fell on him with her breasts. In general, they came to the guild, reported on this situation. Yes, they talked about the most important bump, and when they went with the guild and met some kind of yellow weirdo, who is a local guard for girls, and they say, let these girls go hostage and I'll crush Antic, and RG was delighted, because this is just a phrase, like from his game. Well, in general, this is one at least some intelligible opponent. He is at least 50 LOL people. By the way, he did a Jonisa swing, which only noobs did more profitably, but professionals were ordinary with his foot and began to cast magic stronger, but the brow is clearly not a professional. The deal lived a blow that could not harm RG, and then began to pump magic, which will take place for 300 years, but he came up, gave him the Vulgar region and won, but he did not want to give up. They say, how so? He is a hero, but they explained to him that it was not their own fault and that they were generally good, but the hero also said that this is a horn good man. So they had a new task, which they come to this castle and find out that there is a little bit of an army of 100 fiends. Here RG was surprised, because there was no such thing in the game. People are already buried, preparing to die, because only they can protect the villagers so that they have time to move to a safe place. Well, our Agatha and the weirdo said, it's not for you to die today, but for these creatures. Yes, he went to a hard score. Some healthy pig of Argaiva approached him. I estimate with one attack at this time in the guild. An important bump says that he is expelling his henchmen, because he poured too much of our company, but the improvised body drowned, stuck some kind of dagger into himself and became an outcast himself. And as you already understood, outcast creatures for ordinary weirdos are incredibly strong, and from the side of the defense, some kind of woman went to our brow, who threatened to kill him. In general, the girl's an important bump begins to dump from this tough lizard, the cat girl calls, some kind of tough bull immediately wins him. And then our golden hero, the savior of the girls, appears. True, the benefit of it is zero, he could not even harm this lizard, while the lizard almost killed the yellow one with one blow. At this time, RG was having fun with the girl and she was 80 levels and couldn't do anything to him at all. He didn't want to kill them all. Therefore, he simply gave her the strongest blow so that she understood that there was no point in fighting him and that she needed to retreat. But the girl was assertive. And that's why the horned miracle reports that another monster has appeared, and he understood what their plan was. Everyone who wants to live, Tikkun knows his most powerful magic, which just smashes the floor of the glade of the maiden. By the way, to my surprise, I survived, after which he clings to the bolt, pushes it away and furiously goes to avenge his brotherhood without any pairs, defeats the lizards. Everyone is joyful and thanks him and squeezes from all sides. This number is not as joyful as it seems. He is not surrounded by miracles here. Everyone is not surrounded by a bunch dead people. In short, sad. All that you understand is, of course, far from playing, but on the other hand, people unite and try to restore the city. And the whole, something is lying in Russian studies, does not want to rise until something else has been lifted to him, so that he cheers up just like from a video on link 1 in the description. Be sure to come. And then neither light nor dawn. The head of the guild comes and says that they have an order for this beautiful alpha bars now from the head of the country of elves, offers billions of money. Therefore, anyone can covet her, but she is, in fact, a horned brow, so he has one option to end the war between these two states. Let her live in peace. So they went to the strongest man in this city, who also saved him once, just as he saved him on the planer. The problem is that he was used to being a thug hard brow, and he needed to be with him. We respect talking, but the cardinal did not take out the level and spoke, as always, like some merciless demon. Fortunately, Mercy was merciful, so another girl was given a command to them. She is their local diplomats, a knight. In general, the man explained that 100 elves had settled in the neighboring forest. Our peasant began to prepare for the campaign. He took a shitty saber for them, so as not to kill people with one blow by accident. How did they ambush them? The cargo of the garden was annoying, and they ruined these fools. And yellow, as always, smell a girl in distress and helped useless. Then they meet with an important bigwig who says that the video slaves have the same collars as our girlfriends. They say, you need to go to them. Maybe they know something about it? RG was already on the eve of this meeting. This game usually the slaves were women of the ancient profession, but here everything turned out to be much more cultured than he expected. And they were met, most importantly, by the slave driver. Here we begin to find out what is visible in this world, how mana flows in our body. It is incredibly sinister. The elf also saw this mana. It turns out that the fact that a demon sits in the earth can be seen from its flow. She was a little sad because of this. She realized that her friend was a fool and just thought she was very strong. So our man began to about how you can try to remove this magic. To do this, the elf had to completely undress, and he had to feel the flow of mana in her. In general, it is almost impossible to show it. In short, he was supposed to fill her body with his mana and make his way to the source of magic, but he did not succeed, because everything is much more complicated there than they thought, after which he was very exhausted, and the effect, on the contrary, was charged by his mother. And then neither light nor dawn, the elf brothers come to them. What type of certificate was sewn back to him? They say, he went out. And he is like that in general, like I'm sorry that I beat the award for it, and left. Strange, of course. The next day they made potions with a napkin, even more resettled order and chest. The better the potions turned out. True, then she took it as if not her own, got up and left, saying that she did not need help in all this turn of the lapel. Something strange was happening here, but the stag fell into a tilde, lay down, until the cat girl told him, give him a drink hard, but they went, and it turns out that the girl turned out to be enchanted with his flute to insert his flute into it. He sent a slug on her, which destroys clothes, and then he was caught at this point. Rahatan freed the girl and gathered with him, but hard hammering and only jerking salt, an incredibly hard hydra. Everything would, of course, be fine, but only she has rears that were not like in the game. She can hammer magic. I regenerate very quickly, but Rogachuk was told that there is usually a crystal in the center of such animals, and if it is destroyed, then the hydra will die, but he also the magic that destroys the entire hydra at once already wanted to get out to kill. But only the sister asked not to touch the sample, but he was unlucky, because Milord came, and this time he was merciless and hammered everyone from right. I get up as villagers. Amila just killed everyone, as opponents of the kingdom. Then he began between them, scoring a restraining slingshot, immediately took off and a wave of attacks rushed at him, catching him on a mistake. He froze the eccentrics and wanted to say such strong magic, only this was the dude's plan. He rushed forward. Did he really find Ji-Win? Since he knows how to use silent magic and so that he does not have to kill a person, he told him that he was so weak that he would defeat him with his eyes closed. Ali the fairy began to grieve for her brother, although it seems to me that in vain the stag swelled from the build master of the video with her. All that, after which the Bell Knight comes to the temple. Report something by chance meets a local holy knight who, oh, how he hates the undead, but it seems like she missed him by the mayor, and our guys in the process of studying them show what units they can summon. The elf sent a parrot at one glance. It seemed useless, but RG figured out how to use it, because thanks to the review from this parrot, the elf sees much further than she could. So he learned that there are stones of submission that give the same injections as he hung on the girls by accident, and then they went to bathe hard. You can't show at this moment, but they are allowed to swim naked and you just need not to peer only at a friend, because this is a bad form. The dude was sitting behind a stone, almost died of imagination, but only the girls were attacked by the fiend, who was at the beginning of the anime, but it came not with evil, but with peace, because she understood that a demon sits in a cat girl and knows how to get it out of her. And the elf didn't know about it. She was very sorry for the cat girl, because she hid it for a very long time, and then the rating came, and she led our guys along the roundabout paths of our gas, that you realized that there was something strange in this, and she started them by accident. Frank to the Holy Knight go, a conflict began, where it would be necessary to say that he is just an ordinary person, but he, as always, will say that he is the Lord of Demons, and the Holy Rating cannot forgive this, otherwise he realized that this is just the magic of strangulation. Here the man is a lattice to pull off magic. Well, when the counter sang and the man himself was petrified, that's how the conversations ended with him. They decided to tell the knight that the demon lord was sitting in the cat, but she's like, "Oh girl, I'll always support you." Well, they went to happiness to pull the demon lord out of the cat girl and she didn't have to die. The ritual, of course, in the classics of this anime was, as always, one that cannot be shown on this occasion. By the way, watch the video to the end. In general, the Diablo poured his mother completely into her, so to speak, and pulled out the demon lord, and the girl cat remained intact, and the demon lord turned out to be a little Ayala, who began to make her speech that she would kill all people, and what she would kill did not understand her. As a result, they just fed her sweets, because she wanted to eat and realized that she was just a pretty little girl who, in principle, did not want to kill anyone if she was given sweets, but then the strongest fiend flew up to them. Who survived the past Lord of Demons, they ask, when will they destroy the human race? To which the demon lord said that in no case would anyone give her sweets then the female completely disagreed, which means that you need to kill the lord of the child so that she is so normal. Go with him began incredibly hard, scoring on purification. He is the strongest in this anime, because even Archie could not really cope with him. Fortunately, he again had a balance ring on them, and he repelled the attack of the owl, which she herself was amazed at, because this is the ring of the first Lord of Darkness, which Archie filled up with his Igor, received it, in general, decided to finish it off again, in general, decided to finish it off again. The current Lord of Hell only saved him, but he dumped him, after which the girls rigidly absorbed our mana. It turns out that Sasha just hates people. Her main goal is to awaken the Lord to destroy this world.